This video is a practice guide on Ravel's Piano Concerto, the very ending of the first movement. If you're looking for a practice guide on the famous solo in the beginning of the first movement, I have done a practice guide on that, and I will link that in the description. In this video, I'm going to start from rehearsal 36. A few things just to consider, and then I'll go over the practice strategies I used. So the notes need to be very short, very short. Even when you're practicing it slow, it should be like very pecky, because when it goes fast, it's very easy to stumble over your notes. For me, with these kinds of passages that just have that repeat sign and no notes, I hate that. And I need to be looking at something. I mean, the first 4 bars those are super easy, just standard double tonguing. But when you get down to the last line, people do different things. I have seen people write out the whole thing, all the notes, through bars 2, 3, and 4 of the repeat. You could do that. I think I've tried to just memorize it before, so that's an option. What I've done lately, the last few times that I've played this and has worked well for me, is that on the first 2 measures that I'm playing this, I'm looking at the piccolo line, so I have it bracketed there. And then for bars 3 and 4 of the repeat, I look down at the flute line and just visually look at a new area. And that mentally helps me. Then, of course, you have to look back up to the piccolo line on the way down, but that works for me. So hopefully you followed all that. How I practice this, I have a few different ways. My classic way that I practice just straight technique like this is I just put my metronome on very slow, where I'm going to get it 100% accurate. So let's do 80. I almost ran out of breath. But if you need to, go slower, whatever you need to do. And then, so that's 80. If all went great, I go 81 and play it again. If that was perfect, I go 82, etc. And then I keep track on a Post-it where I left off. Eventually, I'm going to get to a point where it's fast, but I'm not yet up to tempo, which up to tempo is minimum 130. Once you start getting pretty fast, but you're not at tempo, I start doing different practice techniques. One that I like to do is just where I do, especially like the first 4 bars of 36, I'm not going to deal with that. That's easy, no big deal. So I'm just going to focus down on our last line. So I would practice the last line like this, but doing the whole 8 bars. And then I will do the 2 sets of 4 notes, or 1 measure, plus a connecting note, always a connecting note, etc. for the whole 8 bars. And then maybe 2 bars, yaka daga 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 da, stop, etc. So you're just expanding on a little group of notes, and then you're expanding it. Sometimes, just to keep it interesting, you can do different rhythms. The one I like to do for this was the high G, its own thing, and then DED as a separate grouping. It gets this DED motion in the fingers, away from the high G. Another way to practice, or I would just say also, when you're practicing something like this, I think it's really important when you're just drilling, 8 bars or 16 bars, it can very easily start to go downhill and you get worse and worse, and you need to take a break. You just take a break. Or if you've just done it a whole bunch of times, you can only drill something like this for so long. You can't work on these 16 bars for half an hour. I couldn't. That would make me go insane. So it's real important to take a break from this for a little while, work with the metronome, do it in the different groupings of notes and stuff like that, and then go practice something else and come back to this at the end of your practicing. But what I was going to say is another way I like to practice this is going full speed and just do little, I can't think of another word, but chunk, just a little bit of it at full speed. So a little burst, maybe that's a good way to say it. Full speed's 132. Here, again, starting at the last line, and whatever you can do that is perfect at this speed. So if it's just 2 notes at a time, do that. So I'll do that first to start. What I was doing when I would practice it is just like 4 notes and then do a rest and give my mind a chance to be ahead of my fingers and then do the next grouping. So it would sound like this. I would just do that a little bit, like just that last passage, and do it in that way at 130. So I feel like, oh, I'm at tempo, but I'm not really. I guess it gives me a little bit of hope. There's a crescendo. Sometimes I do it just because I'm like, oh, I gotta make it to the finish line, and it just naturally comes out. But I would not worry about the crescendo at all. It's the least of your problems. There is an alternate fingering option, and that is when you get to the last line, you do regular high G fingering, and then you do middle G for the D, and then middle A for the E, middle G for the D. It's all in the left hand then. And you just go through the same practice routine, starting slow. You have to work that up over time with this fingering. So you're doing harmonics for D and E. I think sometimes because those are harmonics, they can split on you or not be always 100% accurate. But for somebody that might work. So I think it's an option. Good luck practicing this last part of this movement. It's so difficult. Just try to practice clean and slow and gradually work your way up. And hopefully some of my practice techniques on how I go about this passage will work for you, be effective for you. Thanks for watching this video. Please hit subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you at the next video.